There's an interesting thing about financial literacy. One interesting statistic. You know all those national lotteries you have in, basically as far as I know, in every country where you can win millions, sometimes even hundreds of millions. Have you ever seen the statistic about how many of the people who won the lottery, how they're financially doing these days? Because from what I remember, but later on I'll put it here from whatever AI will tell me, I remember that most of them not doing so well financially these days comparing to what they were doing before winning the lottery. And today's topic is a bit even more painful for me. You see, I'm doing business consulting, and what I noticed, here in China at least, more than 50% of my customers are not exactly my customers. Let me explain. More than 50% of startuppers that I consult, they already have an investor, but they are on the stage of having a prototype, not even producing any products yet. I'm not even mentioning mass producing products yet. Truly, they think that I'm offering services to them, but from my experience, what I know, I am consulting already the investor or investors. Yeah, today we will speak about very important topic about money. Where to get them, how to use them right. My name is Alex, you're watching channel Know the Game, and yes, today's topic is Bootstrap. I will be honest, when the first time I heard this concept, I was, let's call it skeptical, or maybe even satirical about it, because I thought, yeah, it's for you Americans, that's a concept. For us, it's Tuesday. And indeed, what is Bootstrap? If we oversimplify the concept of a bootstrap, it's about spending money like you don't have any. But especially when I came to China and came up with this concept of victims of economic boom, if you haven't seen the video, highly recommend, I realized, damn, indeed. For those who haven't seen the video, I will quickly make a short review. Quite a lot of businesses in China right now struggling. And they are struggling why? Well, because during the economic boom, when economic and business rules are not working, it's a huge economic boom, huge spike. Basically, people were opening a factory because there was a really lack of supply when there was a huge demand. A lot of companies worldwide were coming to China to buy the product because, well, cheap labor, cheap energy, cheap minerals. Wow! So all you needed to find out, oh, this product is being in demand and there is not enough supply, so let's open the factory and produce it. How much I need? 2 million. Okay, quick, just put the 2 million and make the product. And now they are struggling. But let me, through today's lecture, explain why this is linked to a bootstrap. So, what is the classical picture of us starting a business? You having an idea, finding an opportunity, established. Okay, writing a business plan. Then you get funding. Irrelevant, you take a loan, using your own money, you find somewhere else. Irrelevant. You're producing a product, going to the market, profit. Well, those who already had experience with starting their own business, they will be looking at this table quite skeptically, right? Why? Well, it looks beautiful, clean, linear. But the reality is you will be bouncing non-stop through all circles of hell to finally have an opportunity to get to the profit part. And we already know from my previous video, well, from all the companies out there, only 90% survive first 2 years. 90%. Blogger, yeah, we already know business is not that easy as it seems in theory. Where the bootstrap comes in? Well, the bootstrap is a powerful tool that will allow you spend less, not just at the start, but the main thing, forever. Thanks to it, you can, first of all, avoid unnecessary investors. Second of all, save main chunk of your company belonging to you. And the main thing, this is the killer feature that proves that your business actually works. Basically meaning you will find the real customers, you'll sell them real product or service, you will get a real profit, meaning it's long before you will start spending serious money. Let's make it stupidly simple. Imagine you have 1 million in old 80s, 90s movies that was always, I'm rich now amount. So let's say it's enough, properly build whatever business you want. Classic way, you build a full factory, production line, buy expensive equipment, hire a big team, blow a fortune on marketing, and then something doesn't go according to the plan. Market changed, product isn't quite right, competitors appeared, costs were underestimated. Pick any! Result, either the business dies right there, or you urgently run to investors and give away 30%, 60% of the company, and now you're working for them, not for yourself. Bootstrapping way, you still have this 1 million, but you're spending money like you don't have this 1 million. You act broke. Instead of building a factory, instead of hiring a lot of people, you are spending like, well, as we already established, like you don't have money. You're finding a way to create few units, few first MVPs, using some rented equipment, some outsourcing there, or Mr. James who have some knowledge in producing and arranging those kind of things, testing it out on consumers, finding what's not working, what it needed to be improved, checking what's going on in the market, what are the new trends. And only once you have a really decent product that you feel like meeting consumer needs, you continue with mass production. Mass production where you learn not only how to start the thing with no money, where you learn how to make things cheaper, the most optimized way, most efficient way. Yeah, that's what we are talking about. There's the 4 main goals of the Bootstrap I want you to engrave, burn onto your brain. First, perfect the product while you're still small. There will be always bugs. There will always be something that you missed with the product. So it's better to do before showing the product to the whole world. Second, optimize cost from the day zero. Yes, you can always lower down the expenses later on, but how much will it cost? How much equipment you will throw out? What new equipment will cost for your business and how it will be convenient in this or another stage? Plus, don't forget, you will be up against the guys who are there maybe even 20 years in the game. So just copying them will be a suicide, and we already established it in previous video, right? Bootstrapping, forcing genius, unique solutions, and they can become your permanent, unfair advantage over your competitors. Number 3, start earning real money as soon as it's possible. Yes, it could be peanuts money. They might not even cover the costs yet, but still will be helpful, right? But the main thing, this will be already solid proof for investors. Here we have 300 customers already. Here we have growing revenue. Now let's talk a deal. And yes, obviously, number 4, investors become optional. If you do things well and luck is on your side, you might not even need them. But sometimes you might need them for the reasons we will discuss later in this video. And in this case, they will cost you much less equity. That's why we bootstrap. For many of us, literally, the only realistic option. For everyone else, simply the smartest way to start a business. It slashes the risk, forces you to build efficient processes that last forever, and lets you fund growth organically with your own revenue instead of someone else's money. The biggest advantage is this: you get to refine and often completely transform your original ideas before you've bet the farm on it. Because let's be real, our plans are always perfect in our head till they hit the reality. And it's irrelevant what we are planning to do. We're planning to do some repairs in the house, we are planning to write master's degree, master thesis, or we are traveling somewhere. In our head we have one plan until we hit the reality, see the real information in front of us, and our plans usually change dramatically. Business is exactly the same. Almost every successful company today looks nothing like the founder's original idea. Every single legendary company you know started with bootstrapping. Apple, Microsoft, Dell, Virgin, you name it. And the truly wealthy entrepreneurs people call stingy or cheap, huh? We're not talking about the lottery winners or one-hit wonders flippers. We're talking about the ones who build real empires that last. Even when they have hundreds of millions in the bank, even when banks and venture capitals are begging to give them money, they still operate exactly the same way. They spend as if they have none. Because that's not cheapness, that's a secret weapon. Now, if I sound like a person who is like anti-investor, excuse me, that's not the impression I want to give you. But even though I believe that investors could be a rocket fuel for your business, at the same time, I will highly insist for you or even avoid the investor or to get the investor as late as it possible when you are much more ready for the big game. How come? Well, you see, investors, just like loans, just like a debt I discussed with you in this video, they need to be used wisely. Have you ever noticed how many founders disappear from their companies? How many companies you know where you also know their real founders? How about these guys? Do you know them? You see, I bet 99% of people have no idea who they are. They are founders of Tesla. Elon Musk invested in Tesla. Elon Musk started giving his own ideas there. Let's not debate here, was they right, were they wrong, were they useful or useless? I have no idea. But through giving the advices, he sued himself to be named a co-founder. Then he got rid of some of the guys and yep, 99.9% of the world right now believes that Elon Musk is a founder of Tesla. Started as an investor. I couldn't even imagine the scope of the issue until I started studying MBA, and in our entrepreneurship lectures, our professor was bringing every week a new founder of this or another company back in Latvia. And you see, 90% of them, they at that stage already had like 20 to 30% of their company equity. Only 20 and 30% of equity. They were already not owners of company, they were high-ranking employees, you can say that. Let me give you oversimplified version how this is happening. Let's say you're Alexander and you had a brilliant business idea and you found business opportunity there. All right. So let's say I have 50,000 euro and it was enough for me to create an awesome prototype that people love. I even did small-scale production and really people loved it, enjoyed it. So I needed to create already stable production line. Small one, yet small one. All right. So everybody aware of my product, everyone already aware of the product success. I'm going to potential investor and he's ready to give me 100,000 euro for 25%, which is more or less decent offer. Okay. I'm starting my production. I'm hiring people. I need more raw material. I need more this, more that. Marketing starts, yada, yada, yada. Basically, that's all money. We still don't have a proper income. I'm still getting investors. And by the end, yes, I'm there with 20 to 30% worth of equity of my company. That's how easy it happens. Here's the case, not a unique, but my favorite. Company sold for $82 million. $82 million. 5 founders together, guys, together got $36,000. Not each, all together shared $36,000 damn dollars. Feel the numbers. That's why I'm hammering Bootstrap in your minds, because in this case, there is more chances that if you will build empire, it will be your empire. It will be you who will be telling the story of success. If talking production optimization, it's really hard to give advice one size fits all. Yeah, every industry is different. When it comes to the money, I have a solid base for you. And yeah, money. It's not enough you having a business idea, good opportunity spotted, or being ready to work 25/8. We have to work a lot, yeah. We still need cash. So where the hell do we get the damn cash, damn money, as a beginner startup entrepreneur? Let's run through some traditional source real quick. We have grants and prizes, literally free money. But competition is absolutely brutal. You're competing with thousands of deck-polished founders who do this for the living. We have government state-backed loans, but first of all, again, the same competition, and the banks are not giving the loans so easily. Not so easy terms after all, either way, right? Business angels and modern crowdfunding, they want to see realistic path to multiply by 10 their money in 5 years, which means you need a clear growth and exit strategy from day one. They will not write you a check for your ideas or even prototype. They want real product, real customers, real revenue first. And then we have venture capital funds. It's like everything above, but they also usually want a founding team with Ivy League MBA pedigrees, 10 plus years of relevant industry experience, traction that already looks like a hockey stick. Basically, they found the future unicorns, not a first-time founder with a dream. Now, what is actual advantage and pros of having an investor? Well, except the cash. First of all, mentorship. These guys already know what it's necessary to know about the business. Look how in Omni case, they straight away spotted all the difficulties and problems about the Omni VR. I mean, they are obviously not the techie guys, but they straight away spotted the big problems out there for this virtual reality platform. Second, connections, networks and doors. Basically, everybody could have ignored you before, but because this guy got interested in you, you're becoming more interesting. People becoming more curious of you. And yes, this second option gives us third option, access to markets and sales channels. Because now, for us, it's really easy to get on the shelf of this or another supermarket or shop. Because have you ever thought about it? How hard it is to get your product on the shelf of certain, let's say Walmart? They're definitely getting hundreds and hundreds of emails from different variety of companies saying, we have a very awesome product and we want to work with you. And obviously they just ignore it. For them, it will be a very good idea to choose your product because, well, your investor is this guy. And yeah, it's not just access to markets, sales channels, the professional team of investors, systems, processes, lawyers, recruiters, the whole machines becomes available to you. That's very valuable. That gives you so many advantages, but it costs a lot. Not just cash, your equity. And therefore you need to be very picky on investor. Look at the show Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, whatever is popular in your region. Looks that sometimes startuppers ready to sacrifice even more equity and choose less convenient deal, but because they did their homework and they know that this specific shark investor is worth more because of the connections they have, knowledge they have, and yada, yada, yada. You need someone whose name alone will make buyers listen. So yes, investors are, just like loans, a very powerful tool. But here's the brutal truth. Those benefits I listed, mentors, networks, access to markets, they don't come with every investor by default. First of all, investor might be belonging to certain industry about which your niche might never even heard about. Or maybe they just only have one thing to offer, and one thing only: money, nothing else. And if you are a first-time founder, good luck negotiating hard against them. You don't yet know what they're really worth, so you can't properly value your equity. Result? You take their cash, give away 25, 40%, and later realize that they added zero value beyond the money. Now you're stuck. The financial hole is plugged today, but all the future problems, distribution, team scaling, competition are still there, and now you own much less of the company that's supposed to solve them. And the downsides are savage. You fade into the shadows, just like in Tesla. History remembers loud investors, not the guys who actually build it. And the main thing, that's not it. You will also lose the freedom. Suddenly, every big decision goes through the board. Investors can completely change the product vision, pivot the company, even fire you. And they're wrong, surprisingly often. When business actually explodes, and pray it does, you lose a massive, life-changing money forever. Especially painful if the investor only brought cash. The few $100,000 they gave you in a year can cost you tens or hundreds of millions later. That's not a deal. That's a robbery with extra steps. Which why bootstrapping until you actually don't need them or until you can't dictate them your terms is the ultimately powerful tool. So let's get real. Business investors like business angels, venture capitals, a very sexy word, right? But before you ever even sniff that word, you have to solve the very first problem: how to fund the initial validation and launch of your idea. Because here's what a serious investor actually needs to see before writing a check: proven demand, real customers, real revenue, real, or at least tiny profit. Not an idea, not a prototype, a working business model. Then they will need clear scalability. Shows them exactly how their money turns this small thing into a very big thing faster. And defensible mode, patents, first mover advantage that are already working. You're not just first, you already grabbed a real market share. Network effects, exclusive contracts, something that keeps competitors out. And nonetheless, a crystal clear exit plan. IPO, acquisition. They don't want to be your partner for 30 years. They want the 10x, 50x and out. Now stop. Let's go through these points again. If you already achieved this yourself, do you really need an investor? Or at least, do you really need an investor just because of money? You already have a machine that makes money. Now you can scale it with your own cash flow. Bank loans on much better terms, by the way, or strategic partners. And if you do take an investor at that stage, it's better be one who brings distribution, industry connections, or actual market access, not just cash. Because neither angels nor venture capitalists fund ideas. They fund working, de-risked, revenue-generating business ideas. Those they can just steal or copy. We said it in the very first video. An idea without execution is worth exactly zero. So, if you reach the stage where investors are finally interested, you already won the hardest part. Okay, so no investors, venture capitalists, angels, irrelevant. Where do we get the money? Well, guys, I'm sorry for taking a part of Captain Obvious, but how about to start with our own money, our own savings? Yep. Remember class of economics? Factors of production. What was the first factor? Oh, enterprise. Enterprise is a factor of production that unites three other factors, and it's rare. Why? People risking the money. Yes, painful but clear. Indeed, that's the main thing. Your own money comes first. And yes, I know, not everyone have this much sufficient money to launch a business. So let's go straight to our second source. Loans. Bank loans. Again, not available straightforward to everyone because, well, banks need a collateral. So yeah, if you have an apartment, own house, car, whatever, then more or less you have a chance to get some money. Yes, this is still a loan that you need to pay, but your business is still 100% yours, right? The interesting thing about the banks, once you are able to develop your company on a certain level, then collateral will be already your business, not your personal ownings. And you will get much better terms. In a certain moment, you might even get a credit line, which is really useful for business. Banks just want their money back plus interest. And when your business is already working, they will be giving you better terms that any venture capitalist would dream of. So algorithm is simple. Bootstrap, make the business work on tiny money. Get real numbers, go to the bank, get cheap debt, scale faster, keep everything. That's how real empires are built. Not on a pitch deck, in the mud. But let's talk about a classical source of money, which exists there, but nobody likes to talk out loud. We call it 3 F's. Friends, family, and fools. These people are really not fully understand the whole risks of entrepreneurship, but they are ready to loan you money for different reasons. Now here you must be obviously acting like a responsible person, not only taking money, but just in case need to negotiate in advance how you will get the money back if things not working as it was expected. Let's call it this way. Now with friends and family, I think everyone is straightforward, clear. And if you don't want to lose your friends and family, obviously it's worth to discuss what I earlier mentioned, right? How you can give them money back if things not going the best way, as it was hoped. The problem are fools. You see, why they don't like to brag about fools? Because quite a lot of investors out there are fools. They completely have no idea how the entrepreneurship works, how the startups work, how the modern world, business world works. They just have a lot of money. These are the guys who are coming to a lot of places in Silicon Valley. They have quite a lot of money. They know that, well, inflation and stuff, they need to put it in different places. And some of them just gamble and put in 10 companies and hope with hopes that one of them will be actually successful. Some of them are... Let's review where they got the money first. Sometimes it's also kind of creepy. So the main thing with the fools is not to be a fool yourself. And we already discussed where you can become a fool when you talking to a fool. Getting money just from the investor who will give you only money and nothing else. Here's just outside of script. I remembered how one of my customers were bragging about that their investor is ready to use their device and make a video where he is using this device just to advertise it in the United States that, oh my God, look, this millionaire is ready to use this device, so you can. And I'm just like, guys, he's from China? From China. Who cares about him in the United States? Yeah, great for him, he's a millionaire. How people in the United States will be attracted to the fact that he is using that? Let's outline again and again and again. I really want you to actually engrave it in your brain. These are exactly the investors who can only offer money, nothing else. Real business angels and venture capitalists can at least bring something besides cash, connections, expertise, doors. Fools give only money and nothing else. And some brilliant ideas that serves their ego, like silly example that I just mentioned. By the way, there's another way of gaining some finances, crowdfunding. Very popular modern days, though, yes, if people like your idea, you'll get some cash, well, needed cash. But if things will not work out, you might need legally prove that, well, you tried everything, just things don't work out as it was planned. But the worst thing, really the worst thing about crowdfunding is the problem of pivoting. When you see that things doesn't work out the way, but you found the solution, sometimes, since you already received the money on a specific idea, it might have a legal chaos to pivot the idea. That's the biggest downside of crowdfunding. We outlined the money. We outlined who truly investors are. We acknowledge Bootstrap is to make sure that business stays yours by you, reinvesting your revenue, getting bank loans, scaling on a real cash flow. All right, Just like the companies here popping up on the right. All right, just a very good AI examples as we know it, but have they become what they become just by pure luck? Maybe. But this is the question. They were also damn clever. Sometimes, yes, pure luck, but sometimes a brilliant approach. And that's what exactly I want to discuss with you. An unconventional guerrilla form of bootstrapping. Let me give you two classic American examples that my professor loved to hammer home. First, Wayne Dyer, the godfather of entire self-help industry. Back then, nobody was writing psychological self-development books. Zero market, zero genre. He writes Your Erroneous Zones, the very first real book of its kind. He takes it to publishers and gets the same treatment that J.K. Rowling got for her Harry Potter. Well, only worse, because fantasy books already existed, but self-help, publishers literally said, who the hell gonna buy it? This market doesn't exist. And for you to truly feel the whole concept of this issue back then, I want to emphasize, it's only these days, like from last year or so, from 2024, you can put your book on Amazon in PDF, and if somebody wants to buy a hard copy, they can order one from Amazon, one. But before, you had to go to publishing house, they will do all the printing, they will find distribution channels, well, bookstores, negotiate with them, arrange the space for the book, and do all the advertisement for your book, if they feel about it. So every step, you're losing kinda chunk of your, we can call it equity in regards of your profits from the book, right? Right. And this is where Wayne made a revolution. He said, screw it. He actually published his own books, thousands of them. He called nationwide bookstores and trying to negotiate with them the event where he will be advertising his books, and they will get, the bookstores, the free event, which will attract people, because especially those days people would love to visit a store where something is going on, where somebody is doing some sort of presentation. We didn't have social media that days, obviously. He was his own driver, he was his own loader, he was own secretary, he was on. He did it everything. And it was very interesting. He traveled all around the United States with his books. And the outcome, wow. The Erroneous Zone sold over 30 million copies. And all the money, well, except the printing costs and traveling costs, went into his pocket. No publisher taking 80%, 90%, no agent, no one telling him it's too risky. He did it all by himself. He created the genre. He proved the demand. And obviously then all the big publishers came crawling to him, begging for the contract for his next book. Classic Bootstrap. He found customers the hard way, built a word of mouth the hard way, got free publicity the hard way, and kept 100% of the empire he built. Second is even more savage. It's about dog hotel. Yeah, the classical pet shelter, pet hotel, where if you are going somewhere, you can leave your pet there. They started with dogs specifically. This is brilliant. Basically, look at the photo here. Just no name, nothing special, pet hotel, right? But what they did changed it completely. They were located, let's say, in the middle of nowhere. But what they noticed, that dog lovers already by then were a little bit sometimes obsessed with their puppies, let's call it this way. And one day, certain the owners of their customers, they were discussing having a dog wedding. And they said, no problem, let's arrange one. This attracted a lot of publicity from the local media. And here I want to emphasize a very interesting momentum about media, especially local media. Because when you have national media, they can cover an international news and general local news. But what's happening about local media? They might cover certain things from national thing, but they should specialize on local things. They are really hungry for news. So something unusual happening will attract their attention for free, because they need it more than you might even imagine. And obviously this event, dog wedding, was a good success for this pet hotel. The next thing, the guys really pulled the strings well on the obtained knowledge, and they arranged pet fashion week. This attracted attention not already by just local newspaper, but local TV station and even national TV station, and allowed them basically, well, obviously I'm exaggerating, but build their empire from this kind of house to this kind of house for pet hotel. Bootstrapping 101. They turned their biggest weakness, remote location, into their biggest strength. Space for crazy dog events that city places couldn't host. That's bootstrapping in its purest form. You don't wait for permission, you don't wait for the budget, you don't wait for the perfect condition. You take whatever you have, a car, a stack of books, or a big backyard and some crazy ideas, and you force them to the market to notice you. You create the demand instead of hoping it exists. You reach or die trying, but you do it on your own terms. And when you win big. It's in production, in financing, in marketing, in sales. It's everywhere where you will use your brain where everyone else says it's impossible. The small guy cannot win on a field where big boys are playing. So why do we try to play there? Shouldn't we think of the way where we can get experience, let's call it this way, on a smaller field before we'll get to this big field? That's what it is. You see, the number one mistake is believing that if you just throw enough money, you will fix any problem and success will come. That's BS. You see, money doesn't guarantee the success, especially in modern business, where we have a lot of financial bubbles, hype, and straight up delusions than anywhere else. What you actually need is minimum viable product and starting working with it like yesterday. Obviously, if you're building fusion reactors, nanotechnology, or something that genuinely require 200 million in R&D, and you need to capture the market in 12 months or die, sure, bootstrapping isn't for you. But for 99% of real business, step by step, smart, ruthless, discipline. That's bootstrapping. Yes, you will have to work like a dog. You'll be the CEO, the janitor, the marketeer, the salesman, the tech support, and the delivery driver. Often in the same day. You will have to say no to every shiny thing that doesn't move the needle. You'll have to treat every single dollar like it came out of your own veins. And that's hard for you. Good, because that's exactly what builds unbreakable businesses. The funniest part? Bootstrapping is actually hardest for former top managers and C-level executives. Yeah, they used for big teams, big budgets, assistants, departments, agencies. They walk into the startup and try to run it like a corporation from day one. And obviously they crash and burn, because a small business should be treated like small business. Scrappy, paranoid, obsessed with cash flow and unit economics. And here's the magic that nobody talks about. Yeah, small production usually the most expensive one comparing to scalable, right? But if through the bootstrapping you will achieve the most effective, most price effective production, when you will scale it, can you imagine the uber advantage over the competition that you will possess? It's even frightening. Your competitors who build on investors' cash and never learn to be efficient, they get slaughtered on the price and margins. That's why chasing easy investment money early so dangerous. It lets you to skip the hardest lessons that actually make you unbeatable later. Same with marketing. Why are you trying to outbeat Cola on a Google ads when you have other fires to put out? You don't. You do dog weddings. You do book tours on your own car, guerrilla stunts, partnerships, content, word of mouth, whatever creates massive results on tiny, I repeat, on tiny money. You win dirty, you win smart, you win permanently. Look at the theory again. Just a line to the stars, right? Reality, bouncing, 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 bouncing up and down. Bootstrapping path, yes, sometimes ugly, slow, painful, but suddenly vertical and stays there because it's based on a concrete, not hopes and dreams. Well, that's turned out long, indeed. But it's not a TikTok video where I'm claiming how I made 1 million in 30 days by dropshipping. Nope, that's a real entrepreneurial lecture. If you want quick hacks and rainbow unicorn fairy tales, sorry, wrong channel. If you want to build something that lasts, that you actually own, that can actually survive, then bootstrap like your life depends on it. Because it does. And here in China, we see the fact that when business was just built by putting the money and straight going, yeah, it worked perfectly during economic boom. But all we know that economic boom suddenly will stop, eventually will stop. And this is only proving the fact that, yeah, sometimes we see the opportunity and we need to catch it, but we need to consider it smart. But obviously, 20 years of economic boom got some entrepreneurs fooled a lot. So don't be fooled. And especially in modern world, when we don't have economic booms there and there, do it right. Bootstrap your business. Now, next lecture, it's very questionable. You see, what I realized about the next lecture, or I'm gonna do it about guerrilla marketing, which we will again repeat certain momentums from Bootstrap. But the main pain point is I need to cover a lot of things in my marketing lectures first to get to a very important topic of entrepreneurship, business plan. But truly, I need to go through all the aspects of marketing, wants and needs, and why people make certain decisions, then to do different analyses, including marketing mix 4P, and only then we can cover with you business plan. So I will see if we will be able to squeeze in another lecture in entrepreneurship, but so far from my experience on my Russian channel, I'm keeping it on a big hold until I will cover all 4 P's in Mix C. And yeah, there will be a separate video for each P in the marketing mix. But with this outline, first of all, I want to thank you for watching this video up to this moment. Really, your likes, your comments are really essential for this fresh channel. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Большое спасибо. Hamkumkap. Dankeschön. 谢谢. And I'll see you soon.